About 15 buildings here have been abandoned for quite some time. They did a lot of searching for the kids here.
Specifically for Jennifer and I believe Holly Ann.
Growing up on Staten Island, Barbara and I had often heard the legend of Cropsey.
You're supposed to have a hook, an axe, and a knife about this big.
Cropsey was the escaped mental patient who lived in the tunnels beneath the old abandoned Willowbrook Mental Institution, who would come out late at night and snatch children off the streets.
I would have never guessed that with the amount of weirdos living on Staten Island.
It might be somebody on your block. It might be somebody you work with.
You know, here's this guy going around picking off these kids.
I can imagine how other parents, even if your kid's gone for an hour, I can imagine how they must feel.
You know, that's probably one of the last things that you ever think about, that somebody would take your daughter.
It seemed like everywhere I went, there were people out in the woods looking for that little girl.
It's no question, if we were going to find her, we definitely were going to find her.
She thinks we're picking at dead children's bones.
We just want closure on this, that's all.
What was that?
I heard something.
Look down there in the hallway.
It's scary because we have a boogeyman living on Staten Island all those years.
That image forced a lot of people to say, that is the killer.
There's no reason for him to exist anywhere else, you know, other than jail.
We had the same questions that you're asking me. Why did he do this? What set him off?
It's sort of like putting a puzzle together.
You know, he likes to be the center of attention, the keeper of the secrets.
So I think it'd be great if you could speak for your
What if we just do audio?
Safety, I will not go on.
Do you think they're all around us?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think he's possessed. I really think that he is demonized and possessed.
Every town has its legends. Every neighborhood has its boogeyman. A killer with a hook for a hand. The drifter who snatches children. The witch who lives in the woods.
Why are you here tonight?
You hear stories, you just want to see what's about, I guess.
What do you guys expect to find out here?
People who died here are supposed to be the ghosts.
Do you believe that they're devil worshippers?
Oh,
in the
yeah,
woods here?
I do.
Do you think every urban legend has truth behind it?
Yes, I think you have to have some form of truth to go off of. A truth that is often more terrifying than any fiction.
An old legend that actually happened this time.
Many more cases of contaminated treats.
I know she suffered a lot.
He pulled a knife and tied me up with electrical tape.
Almost destroyed you to see something like that.
A random crazy man, lunatic.
Taking a scary story and literally making it true.
Today, they found the bodies of at least 3 young boys buried under his house.
For Rachel and I, this is an attempt to uncover the truth behind our urban legends.
Oh my God, that's the cord around her neck.
As we pull back the curtain on what it is we all fear.
Do you believe that really happened?
Yeah, and she was holding on for dear life to the fence.
People had theories and all kinds of rumors had been bouncing around.
So many people believed the fiction, and the fiction became reality.
Legends last for a long time.
Look at that line, son of a bitch.
You don't trust nobody. Can't.
Because urban legends, as scary as they may be, are really just warnings for something much more dangerous. The reality that may have started it all.
I got 7 down in feet or not. 7 down. Here's a child victim I need rescue.
Well, I visited the State Institution for the Mentally Retarded, and I think particularly at Willowbrook that we have a situation that borders on a snake pit, and that the children live in filth, but many of our fellow citizens are suffering tremendously because lack of attention, lack of imagination, lack of adequate manpower. There's very little future for the children or for those who are in these institutions. Both need a tremendous overhauling. I'm not saying that those who are the attendants there or the ones that run the institution are at fault. I think all of us are at fault. And I think it's just it's long overdue that something be done about it.
more than 6 years since Robert Kennedy walked out of one of the wards here at Willowbrook and told newsmen of the horror he'd seen inside. He pleaded then for an overhaul of a system that allowed retarded children to live in a snake pit. But that was way back in 1965, and somehow we'd all forgotten. I first heard of this big place with the pretty-sounding name because of a call I received from a member of the Willowbrook staff, a Dr. Michael Wilkins. The doctor told me he'd just been fired because he'd been urging parents with children in one of the buildings, building number 6, to organize so they could more effectively demand improved conditions for their children. The doctor invited me to see the conditions he was talking about, so unannounced and unexpected by the school administration, we toured building number 6. The doctor had warned me that it would be bad. It was horrible. There was one attendant for perhaps 50 severely and profoundly retarded children, and the children, lying on the floor naked and smeared with their own feces, they were making a pitiful sound, a kind of mournful wail that it's impossible for me to forget. This is what it looked like, this is what it sounded like, but how can I tell you about the way it smelled? It smelled of filth, it smelled of disease, and it smelled of death. We've just seen something that's probably the most horrible thing I've ever seen in my life. Is that typical of ward life?
Yes, there are 5,300 patients at Willowbrook, which is the largest institution for the mentally retarded in the world. The ones that we saw were the most severely and profoundly retarded. There are thousands there like that, not going to school, sitting on the ward all day, not being talked to by anyone.
Started shooting everybody.
Better make this a code 11 also. We're getting shots fired. We have numerous people inside.
It's supposed to be at McDonald's at 424 West San Ysidro. It's a 245 shooting.
You couldn't see in the building because of the sun. They couldn't see anyone in there, and they also didn't know who was in there.
I was like wondering, where are the police? Where are the police? It just kept going on, and I know that's not like okay. He's killing more people.